When Jorge Masvidal walked away from the UFC, many thought it was the end of a long and violent chapter. But what no one realized was that this wasn't the end of the story. It was the start of a new, unexpected one. The man who once electrified fans with brutal knockouts and raw charisma was suddenly forced to face something far tougher than any opponent inside the Octagon: life after fighting. The world knew Gamebred as a brawler, a street legend, a warrior who never backed down. But behind the tough exterior, Masvidal was entering a new battle, one that would test his identity, his purpose, and his place in the world. Jorge Masvidal's story is unlike anyone else's in MMA. Born to a Cuban father and a Peruvian mother in Miami, he grew up surrounded by hardship, hustling to survive in a world that didn't give second chances. Before he ever set foot in a professional gym, Masvidal was already fighting. In the streets, in backyards, anywhere he could prove himself. Those early fights, caught on grainy video and later made famous by the Kimbo Slice street fighting scene, shaped his raw, fearless style. He didn't just fight for money. He fought because it was in his blood. By the time he made it to the UFC, Jorge wasn't just another fighter chasing fame. He was carrying the weight of every struggle that came before, every moment that had pushed him to survive. For years, Masvidal was seen as a journeyman, talented but inconsistent, always dangerous, but never the man at the top. He fought whoever the UFC gave him, rarely turning down a matchup, building respect but not superstardom. That all changed in 2019. In just 1 year, Masvidal went from veteran fighter to a global phenomenon. His 5-second knockout of Ben Askren wasn't just a victory. It was a viral moment that changed his life forever. Overnight, he became the face of real fighting. No gimmicks, no trash talk needed, just violence, confidence, and authenticity. He followed that up with back-to-back wars against Nate Diaz, Kamaru Usman, and Colby Covington, all while building his reputation as one of the most fearless men in the sport. But with fame came pressure. Masvidal had become a brand, Gamebred, and the expectations grew heavier. The success, the pay-per-view headliners, the spotlight. It all came at a cost. Behind the scenes, Jorge was battling exhaustion, physical wear, and the mental toll of a decade-long career in one of the most brutal sports in the world. Every fight took something from him, a little more pain, a little less hunger. When he lost to Kamaru Usman twice, many fans thought it was over. But for Masvidal, it was never just about wins and losses. It was about pride, respect, and legacy. He fought on, driven by his love for competition and his belief that he still had something left to prove. As he entered his late 30s, the wear of fighting began to show. The body that had carried him through wars was starting to break down. The speed, the reflexes, the hunger, all of it began to fade. In 2023, after his loss to Gilbert Burns, Jorge Masvidal finally decided to step away from MMA. Standing in the Octagon in front of his hometown crowd in Miami, he announced his retirement. The crowd erupted, but there was a sense of finality. The realization that one of the sport's most authentic fighters was hanging up his gloves. Yet, even in that moment, Masvidal didn't sound defeated. He spoke like a man at peace, grateful for the journey, proud of what he had built, and ready for what came next. Retirement didn't mean slowing down for Masvidal. If anything, it gave him a new mission. He launched his own bare-knuckle MMA promotion, Gamebred Fighting Championship, bringing his story full circle. The street fighter from Miami was now giving others a platform to fight, to survive, and to be seen. It was a way for him to stay connected to the world that made him, while also passing on the torch to the next generation. Outside the cage, Masvidal's personality shined in new ways, in business, in media, and in giving back to his community. He remained outspoken, politically active, and unafraid to speak his mind, no matter the controversy. Some admired his honesty, others criticized it, but that was always Jorge, unapologetically himself. Still, life after fighting hasn't been easy. Like many retired athletes, Masvidal has faced challenges adjusting to a world without the constant rush of competition. The discipline, the adrenaline, the purpose. It's hard to replace those things. There are moments when he looks back and misses it all. The crowd, the chaos, the feeling of being alive in the octagon. But there's also a growing sense of maturity, an understanding that every fighter has an expiration date, and that true greatness comes not from clinging to the past, but from evolving beyond it. Jorge has said in interviews that he's still learning who he is outside of fighting, as a father, a businessman, and a man trying to make peace with his legacy. What makes Masvidal's story so powerful is not just the knockouts or the fame, it's the transformation. He went from a kid brawling in Miami backyards to one of the most recognized fighters in UFC history. He proved that you don't need to come from privilege to make it big. You just need grit, belief, and the heart to keep fighting when everything seems impossible. Even now, long after his last fight, Jorge continues to inspire those who come from the same streets, who dream of something more, who refuse to quit no matter the odds. His legacy isn't just about violence. It's about perseverance, identity, and authenticity in a world that often rewards the fake over the real. The truth is, Jorge Masvidal's life after UFC has been just as unpredictable and intense as his career inside it. He's still fighting, not in the cage, but in business, in life, and in finding peace after years of chaos. And in a way, that's what makes him truly legendary. Because Jorge Masvidal was never just a fighter. He was, and still is, a survivor, a symbol of raw determination, and proof that no matter where you start, you can carve your own path to greatness. In the end, Masvidal's story reminds us that real fighters don't stop when the lights go out. They just find new arenas to conquer.